Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on, I sniffled already, the Clover Trading YouTube channel. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. Kind of an up and down type of week over here in small caps. The overall market is taking a tumble for the first time, and I feel like, well, it's been a while. Can't say that it wasn't predictable. It has been a pretty straight up bounce over the past few weeks. I've gotten some plays I feel like that have bled down into small caps. Not what I would have thought. I think I would have thought a little bit hotter. We've had pretty much just a few big breakouts that have been. If you didn't nail those, the first red days haven't been that great. We've had a decent amount of reversals, but a lot have failed as well. But some tariff news on the EU. So the market's down 1.4% today. So we'll just kind of get that up out of the way right now. So market is down going into a holiday weekend. So the market will be closed Monday for Memorial Day. Some are calling it Memorial Day. Some are saying it's for my birthday week, and just a little remembrance, if you will. But the market will be closed. So we're going into a holiday weekend. Doesn't look like it's going to be a crazy volatile action-packed day. I'm looking at it like probably tighten down the hatchets and head into the last week of May safely. We got our positions on Fannie. Obviously, Kyle and I both in that. It's our little adopted child, if you will, for the past 10 years. We've been raising her as best we can, from a dollar stock now to up over $10 a share. So proud of all the contributions we've made over the years. But what are you thinking going into this Friday? We got Kyle Williams with us, everybody. Clap it along.
Yeah, I mean, a little different of a Friday than I think most would have expected because of the headlines that have come out this morning. Maybe I'm a bit
Optimistic?
yeah, maybe I'm a bit too optimistic. Maybe it's a little bit of delusion. I'm not too, I think the worst of tariffs we've seen, and so sure, I'm totally not unexpecting a pullback. I just don't think it will be as ugly as the first, given China is a much bigger economy to us than the EU. Now, EU is big. I don't mean to diminish the EU, but throwing 100% plus tariffs on China seems like the worst of it, and so throwing 50% on EU certainly deserves a pullback and some fear and some selling.
You'll allow
but I
it.
would, but I imagine we'll be just okay in a month from now, right? But obviously, in the short term, things get volatile, things get a little scary, and that's comes with the territory. So, got to deal with it.
Yeah. We still got a couple gappers that we'll talk about today. Got two up over eight. What? Blooms is back? Blooms. Is that?
I did see that in
We
after
had that
hours
a couple
today.
days ago, earlier this week. We got another one that is right around $1. We'll talk about that. If you have any other questions, leave them in the live chat. Be happy to get to them towards the end of the show here as we wrap up another week. Taking a look at some of the live chat comments already. We got Marion in here, Marion, Thomas, Sly Cosine, Lucas, Wayne. Hello, Joseph, Warren. Good morning. Good morning. You got to love it when there's enough of you talking in there that I can't name every name. That really means we got a nice community talking in there. Nick says, do you only own Ducks merch for your clothing? It is a significant portion of my wardrobe. I will say that. Again, I hope that's out of a place of love. I feel like there's been a lot of hatred in the live chat this week, but it's what I wear. It's what I rather go. I don't even know what stores. What do you cool cats go? TJ Maxx, is that
Ross.
H&M? I don't know where you guys go get your clothing from, but it's easier just when we get to football season, load up on a bunch of Oregon stuff and you have it for the year.
There you go. That works.
But TJ Maxx is where I go every time we have a Clover meetup or something, and I need a few shirts. Nick says, I'm an Oregon boy myself, born and raised. Nice. You grew up in a much cooler place than I did. But we love the Ducks. I love the Ducks. I got Autzen Stadium right behind me. It's a big part of my life, unfortunately. My wife will tell you it's very unfortunate. But even at Clover meetups, I've had to throw everything down and sit by the TV to watch games, right, Kyle? I even made you all wear Oregon wardrobe once.
He brought us jerseys to wear for the game. Yeah,
I have a nice collection of jerseys as well. Matthew being rude says Don's been to Oregon like once. I've been like 5 or 6 times. Okay. Try to go to a game whenever I can. But now that they're in the Big Ten, I get to see a lot more. I'll be able to go to a game every year for the next like 5 years because they're all around me now. They'll go to away games. And Kyle's a San Diego State guy, right? Which they're okay at football. They've had their years.
Yeah, they were better a few years ago. I haven't heard many great things since they've got the new stadium. They built a whole new stadium for them. They demolished Qualcomm Stadium where the Chargers used to play, and then they built this new one. And ever since they built the new one, they've been blah. So,
Blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baja Express says go Huskies. Considering banning you, but I won't because we're here for a different reason. We're talking stocks. We're talking about the biggest small cap movers right now. So let's get going with that. IMNN is your biggest gapper of the day. That's a tough one. Immunon. I don't know. Board meetings must be tough there. They probably don't say their name a lot. Biotech company out of the United States, 16 million float. Like I said, right around $1. We'll take a look at the daily here in a second. They have news about an hour ago. Imunon announces 2025 ASCO annual meeting oral presentation highlighting unprecedented survival data from phase 2 trial of ovarian cancer. Okay, so phase 2, so they're moving along through the process. 15 hours ago, they announced withdrawal of an S1 registration statement. Let's see if anything. And the first site is initiated 2 weeks ago for their phase 3. So they're moving along. They got 1.3 months of cash, so a little low on cash. It says offering ability is low. Can you confirm or deny that?
I would agree with that, yeah.
And they got a couple ATMs.
Yep. Those look good to go. So that might be a... Because as we were scrolling through this, I was like, well, they need cash. They got 2 months of cash left and no way to get it. But then those ATMs there are dude, I would imagine still are active. I'm always perplexed by companies that have ATMs that have been around for years. But then again, if they're maybe actually trying to be a good company and not trying to crush their stock, they wait as long as they possibly can. And so that would make sense here.
Yeah, it is always weird. That's why it's always like people that get, I feel like once you start to learn about dilution, you get like addicted to it and you're like always kind of afraid of the monsters under the in the closet or whatever. And it's like, it's happened so often where it's like they have this like $200 million ATM and it's like 4 years ago. It's like they have like negative 4 months of cash. It's like, what are we doing? Like, all right, you have my approval. I think you should do that. Like, I think you should use it. Like, it just shows you that we have a little snapshot of what's going on here, but we really never know the bigger picture. It says in 2022, the ATM's capped by baby shelf. I don't even know what that means. But 16 million float here. Rocking and rolling this morning. Since that news happened at 8 a.m., we have spiked from 45 cents up to as high as $1.20. Let's take a look at the daily chart. We have a pretty decent gap back in whatever the 7th month of the year is, July of last year. Kind of held up, but didn't really go higher following the gap. Top left to bottom right.
Would be an offering on the gap down.
Yeah, probably some bad news. And really hasn't done anything. Kind of a choppy stock, doesn't really trade a lot. And then today it's already done 111 million, up over $1. I know Huddie doesn't really like these low price gappers. A lot of the times they do funky things around $1. I feel like the ones that gap up over it like this, up already 180%, like $1 is pretty close to being like the cap there. But sometimes they'll end up supporting it, not really spiking too much, not really failing too much. And they can be quite choppy on the potential gap and crap side. This is a daily chart that doesn't really scare me too much. There's really no history of runs or sustained movement, but there really isn't a big precedent for failure as well either. They do need cash, but we looked and there's really not a lot of ways for them to use it get it right now. But they are kind of in the latter stages of development for a drug. So they're maybe getting closer, a few months away to better news. But yeah, it's a Friday with the market kind of down. I could see this being the one shining star, it being the biggest gap of the day. And I also can see a lot of people just not being interested in anything today and it fading off.
Yeah. Well, you know what makes you, I mean, this is a total side tangent question, but we've seen many biotechs in our lifetime. But what we've never seen and what we've never really followed up on is these kind of companies who are, one stage away. Like you never really what happens when they get the drug on the market, right? Like, do they succeed? Do they fail? Like, it's so funny. We always find news that's like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I, for some reason, can't conjure up anything in my memory about when a small cap or when any kind of relatively small biotech stock brings a drug to the market, right? Because you hear about some that maybe I don't think Root was one. Root was like tech, right? Root wasn't biotech, but I know of charts that like do end up starting at like $3 and like years later they're at like 40, but that's like 1 in every 1,000. And so I just can't help but think like, do all the biotechs, not all, but do like 90% of the biotechs that do bring a drug to market just don't, like the market just doesn't care because their drug just doesn't sell and then they still fail? Like, it's just something I've never really followed up on, and now I'm quite interested.
I feel like you could do so much fun stuff with small caps if you paid attention to some of them longer than, and you know a little bit about that because you follow stocks like Mullen, TNXP longer than most people are paying attention to them, and you're able to see like the ins and outs of what like toxic dilution does. But yeah, the flip side of that is like, what about the ones like trying to make it with good news that get to the end and it's like we never look at them again. Maybe they start to succeed a bit, maybe they become a $3 stock and they stay there for a while, but.
Right.
It's an interesting question. You could do a lot of different experiments, I feel like, with a lot of the gappers we've seen over the past few years and just follow up on that news. Did it ever mean anything? I feel like so often we see news and then 6 months later you see the gap again and it's like their company did a full 180 on what they're even doing day to day. So yeah. I think that happens a lot too.
Exactly.
But that's your biggest gapper of the day, IMNN. 16 mil float, biotech company, phase 2 news. The next biggest gapper is Bloom's, which was one that we saw a couple days ago, Monday, Tuesday. And we'll take a look. We'll just do a quick repeat of.
Talked about this one at least twice in the month of May, so lots of gaps.
Yeah, wow.
Lots of gap ups.
We'll just hit it for the third time here. 9 mil flow out of Japan. They have news. I don't know if they had news the last few times that we talked about their gas, but they did have news a day ago, yesterday at the close. They have a business alliance with M Next Holdings to drive affiliated talent growth and fuel store foot traffic. We're trying to fuel store foot traffic. Didn't know if that was a noun or a verb, but it's fueling the store foot traffic. And
well, who's M Next?
I don't know.
Right? Are they anyone cool, or is it just another company no one knows about, right? Who are they?
The parent company of O&A Company Limited, which operates the renowned trading card specialty shop Ryushi no Arashi in Japan.
Okay.
So cards.
Still sounds like nobody.
Doesn't sound like NVIDIA or something. But the main story here is the resistance, the most recent price action. I feel like we've got a lot of these lately where stocks are they go through the cycle. They have their day in the sun. They gap, they fail, they fade hard. And then we hear about them again in a week or two. And you have all this fresh resistance overhead. You have obviously the history of them failing, unable to run. Bloom's we talked about, we never really mentioned again, but actually did end up being a great short into resistance from that previous run. Faded off of that, ended up closing down at 15 cents. Do we have another situation like that today where maybe it's strong for a bit, maybe it spikes, and we get into some of this resistance around 40 cents again and fail? Is this a time where we start to churn $1 billion plus volume and we break out of that 40 area? Do we not even get close to that? Is there too many bags from the prior few runs? Does it run into a lot of supply and a lot of difficulty to continue higher and just fade back off? But this is like 3 gaps in this 20 to 40 cent range. And, I guess it could fade forever, but then it's got to at some point stop bouncing back into that spot. But what are your thoughts here on the third attempt?
I will say when I immediately saw it as a gapper this morning, I thought to myself, okay, how many times are we going to gap up till we stop crapping? But then again, we have, what's that one ticker? Is it SPRC it was? Let me just confirm that. SPRC. What, last year, right? Or maybe I'm thinking a different ticker. No, late 2023, into early 2024, I mean, this thing had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7-ish, maybe 8 or yeah, just a lot of gap and craps, a ton. So I would never underestimate the amount of times this thing can't just run. Now, does it continue to crap super hard given they have tons of cash and what I think is not much dilution, right? If I go back to dilution tracker, right?
Yeah, they have a ton of cash.
So it's like I could say, I don't know. It's like do I think it runs? Probably not. There's a ton of resistance, especially in the last gap and grab that actually tried to run and then actually massively double topped on massive volume. My question of curiosity now is like, okay, if I think it doesn't run, does it even crap? Do we even go back below? Like we've just been exhausted so many times. I don't really have a good read. I'm kind of just guessing like everybody else is. But it is intriguing. I am interested to see how this plays out just because it's quite a couple 3 gap and grabbs now in such a short period of time. Wonder what that does to the mentality or the emotionality of people who are trading this kind of stock. So
yeah, and I think you got to wonder about how many longs want to keep going back to a stock that should be fresh in their mind that didn't work on the long side. Like if you are gapping, I don't know what you call it, buy day one. If you someone that buys day ones, you probably like stuff like MLGO, stuff like Holo, stuff like I'm trying to think of tickers that definitely run, when they get going. And Bloom's just isn't one of them, and they've been reminded that of a few times. That it's not going to hold up. When it fails, it's going to fail hard, and you pretty much have no shot of being in it longer than 30 minutes. Maybe that plays into a bit, but with this gapping into kind of the middle of that resistance, it's like, what's the reward on the short? Maybe 10 cents a share best case right now. So I think that's what made this last one better was the morning spike. So that's kind of what I would do is draw my lines there. Would not be interested in a long just because I don't want to be buying stocks that have proven to be duds. If it surprises me and it goes, it surprises me and it goes, and maybe we have a trade on it down the line. But would be thinking bearish here, thinking about the key resistance area and see if it bucks the trend or continues fading.
Yep.
All right. 36 likes. Like to get that number up towards 50. Would really appreciate if you hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. If you know, I pinned in the top of the live chat, we are doing an all-day webinar. So it's not really a boot camp, not presentation style. It's just going to be straight up. We're going to log on to the day at like 9 a.m. and we're going to log out of the day at 4 p.m. And you're going to spend the whole day with us, hang out, and ask questions, watch us trade live. It's just going to be a good old-fashioned fun time. And if you want some free tickets to that, we got to have 7,000 subscribers at least a week before, and we'll spin that wheel. But if you want to check out that, it'll be, what did we say, June 10th?
June 10th.
June 10th, I think it's a Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday, I believe.
Tuesday, so we'll be here live all day for you guys if you want to get signed up for that. They'll also get discounts into Clover from that, correct?
Yes.
So that sometimes, it's a super cheap way to come spend the day with us, and you will have access to significant discounts if you've been looking for some sort of discount on 3 or 4 leaf or black clover. Alrighty, a lot of talk about Oregon. It's a beautiful place. Drummer Max, you looking at PTIX for Screen Day? I am getting kind of over watching it though. I don't know if it technically fit volume criteria yesterday. About $5 million volume.
It's on the low end.
Yeah, did massive volume day one, has faded since, and yesterday was a pretty significant red day, so we just kind of continue to fade, either bounces or ends up never going anywhere. Off of a similar gap and crap back here a couple months ago, it never really bounced, so kind of keeping that in the back of my head. But it is technically a pattern, so keeping an eye on it. There's never a lot of extra thinking when it comes to reversals, guys. It's a lot of black and white. Like, does it fit criteria? Okay, then I'll watch it. It's hard to know which ones are going to be great, which ones are going to be duds. GRYP was the best one I've traded in the past couple weeks, and this was like not something I normally would have been all that excited about, but it ended up giving you like 5 or 10 cents of risk and like 60, 70 cents of reward. It just works out like that. So if I'm watching it, I'm watching it, but that's where there's not a lot of extra thinking for me past that. Knives says CEP and ASST sad face. I'm happy I didn't swing ASST. Why can't I type CEP? CEP having a red day, but that's a pretty nice bounce from the 30s to the 50s. So not crazy that it's not going straight up into a breakout. Ernie says, I waited with ITRM for 2 years till they finished phase 3 and got approved by FDA. FDA did nothing, but kept going down because they kept diluting. So there's a little answer to what we were discussing earlier. Yeah. Am I accurate in thinking ASPI seems to have relatively decent fundamentals and possibly poised for a breakout over 933 in the coming weeks? Never a good sign. Hello, Joseph, when you bring up a ticker I never heard of. I'm not going to look into the fundamentals because I don't care. It's a big level with the 930 level that you talked about. This is different than your normal generic small cap. It's a lower price stock, but this stock trades over 1 million shares a day. So it's not going to fall into your, volatile price action of like looking to get paid in a day, get 30, 40, 50% move quickly, move on. It's going to be different. It's going to be, this is more, I look at like a swing style breakout, a big picture, daily chart breakout through a big key level. So not a bad look. You've obviously dove into it more than we have, but I would say that it doesn't look like a generic small cap. It looks like it trades every single day. There's attention here. The moves aren't going to be quite as clean. There's going to be some chop to it, and maybe look to approach it in a different style than just, once it breaks 933, maybe it doesn't go straight to 10, 11, 12. Acheem says, Dom, did you trade SYTA for screen day? Missed it. As I'm missing all the good first screen day teams since the beginning of the year. I missed it. I didn't like that the dilution caused the backside here. They did an offering, then had their first red day in the after hours, and then into the red day. It's honestly something I think I'm going to experiment with, just not even paying attention to. I've seen so many stocks that have bad news, they have dilution, and they have some of the best bounces, I swear. Some of the most significant bounces. And if you just looked at it from a pure technical analysis perspective, like, I lose 1 hour if I'm wrong, like I do even when something doesn't have dilution, it just doesn't bounce, or I get rewarded. In this case, this one broke out. So I missed that one too. It actually was a really solid break of the 5-minute high right out of the gate. I think it was like 530, risking like 490, so 40 cents a share, ended up going up over $3.50. So congrats to those. I missed it as well, but it was kind of a decision to miss it. Patrick says, how do you get into the webinar? You go to the link in the pinned comment, and then you sign up. You get signed up for it, and then you will get information on how to access it, and then you'll see our beautiful faces on that morning. Emilio says, Kyle, did you like QBTS for a first red day, even if there are a lot of support in the 17.5? And I know you hate quantum stocks, but is this still a good first red day setup?
That's a good question, Amelia. That's a well-worded question. Lets me know what I know about quantum stocks. you know my relationship with them. No, even if I liked quantum stocks, this technical setup for QBTS is just not that great. For one, there's 2 extension levels. You could either look from the extension level from 12, the breakout level. So 12 to 18, only 50%, not that much. Or you can look at it from when the run started, which is around $8. 8 to 18, that's definitely better, but it is just over 100%. 16 puts it at 100%, so it's just above that. So it's nothing massive there. So yes, let's just call it. It is extended enough, but barely. But it's just too choppy, right? We had a red day on Wednesday, only for it to come back, and it's literally right at the highs of that red day now. Like it's just like, could it have a technical red day as it's gapping down and it could close at 17? 100%. It could easily have some small or decent sized red day. I just don't find it predictable here. Like it's like the first red day, the better they get is because it becomes such overwhelming odds and such high expectancy that a red day is going to happen. With QBTS here, there is not. I don't have that expectancy here. I just don't. I mean, this could rip back to 20 for all I know, you know? So, technically, sure, someone could definitely talk their way into be like, yep, let's take this. This is good enough. But it's really not that good. And I'm at my point in my career where I'm not looking for even good. I'm looking for great. And this isn't even good. So no, I will not be watching this for a first red day.
All right. Last question. Throne says they caught SYK, lacked 5R. Nice work. Kyle, are you interested in NAKA parentheses KDLY first red day? Did they change their name?
NAK Naka?
So that's the new Kidley, I guess.
Okay. Why does did they just do a reverse split? I don't. My daily chart only shows one candle.
I guess you could look at KDLY. Basically bounced over the past week and a half from 8 to 34. Failed to break out yesterday, closed like 25.
No. Well, also Kidley's a Bitcoin stock, and I really rather not short Bitcoin stocks. I've yet to find myself extremely profitable one, and I've only been extremely profitable with longing them. So no, there is no first red day here for me on this one.
All right. Warren says usually do okay on breakouts, but I keep getting chopped up, getting in early on breakouts like ASST, QBTS, QUBT, pony, and taking small losses only to miss the actual breakout. Gun shy. We talk about this a lot in the webinars with me because we go through a lot of the breakouts. I've made a lot of mistakes on them. The more buttons you click, the more likely you are to make those type of mistakes, which is why I think it's really important to have some sort of limit on how many times you can take the trade before you're just wrong, or on your first attempt before you make any mistakes. Make sure we're using the right risk levels. Make sure we're risking wide. Make sure we're not moving risk too soon. Make sure we have the right idea and plan for trading something like a QBTS. On the long side, it's very similar to what Kyle was saying on the short side, right? All those characteristics of the stock are the same on the long side. So I need to be more patient. It is a choppier stock inherently. I'm going to have to be a little bit more uncomfortable. So I need to have a better average or wider risk. Same with PONY, pony. There's been a lot of reward in the breakouts over the past month or two, but they have been in that realm of being choppy, of being volatile, of doing things that scare you for a little while. You're gun shy, that's okay, but I would really focus on that first entry being a good one. Something that really helps me is like just saying I'd rather miss than take 2 losses and then miss. So it's like, be patient. Wait for a better, closer to the move that you think is going to happen. Rather be a little late than too early wrong 5 times. But yeah, we talk about it all the time over in Clover, and it's a great question for a webinar where we can go into some examples. But all right, thank you, Kyle, for being here. Thank you, Dom, for being here. You're welcome. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you. Had a great week over here in Good Morning Nasdaq. We'll be live again Tuesday because the market will be closed Monday. So hope you spend some time with your family. Grill outside. Kyle will have some vegan sausages or something. But enjoy some time away from the markets. It will always be here. So we'll be back live at it, ready to go Tuesday morning. And we will see you guys then. We'll see all you Clovers right now. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your guys' day.
Bye, everybody.